Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for the second time around Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots podcast. I'm Marcy Caulfield, your Military One's First State Consultant, and with me today is special guest Dave Beaulieu with Vermont Veterans Outreach. Say hi, Dave.
Hey Marcy, how are you today?
I'm doing well. Thanks
Nice.
so much for coming in.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, we appreciate it. Before we get started today, let's just cover a little bit of admin work and talk about the disclaimer. The disclaimer briefly highlights that all information shared in the webinar is provided to you as additional resources for your own personal toolkit. The content is not the responsibility of the government, National Guard, or the Vermont Military Family Programs. For those of you that are not aware, Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots does a live webinar the first Wednesday of every month at 7 p.m. Each month the topic changes. So if you happen to have an idea of something that you would like to be educated on, please reach out to Family Programs either by their Facebook page or through the Family Programs website. Well, Dave, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready, Marcy.
Fantastic. So today's topic is Master the Art of VA Navigation. Take it away, Dave.
All right. Well, first of all, I got to say, Marcy, a lot of people are confused. So let me tell you what I do exactly. My name is Dave Beaulieu. I work for the Vermont Veterans Outreach Program. First of all, I am not a VA employee.
You're not?
No, I know. A lot of people think I am because I'm always helping veterans enroll in the VA, helping them with the VA disability, housing, substance abuse. But unfortunately, I don't work for the VA, but I work with the VA. So I want to make that clear at first, that we're like the go-between. I like to say I'm the Wild West guy. I'm the jack of all trades. But, you know, at our last Kitchen Spoons and Boots, you know, I discussed what's in the VA. So briefly, just to recap with everybody, we just talked about, first of all, you know, where the locations are at the VA. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I have to drive all the way to White River Junction just to go to the VA. But that's not true.
Really?
I mean, yeah, we got like 7, they're called CBOCs, Community-Based Outreach Clinics.
Okay.
And they're all over the state of Vermont. And like here in the Burlington area, instead of driving to White River, you can go to 128 Lakeside Ave and get the same quality service that you get at the VA.
That's really close.
Really cool too. But again, that's why we're having these podcasts, because we want the word to get out. So
we have options.
Plenty of options. And I'll discuss more later. But, you know, we talked about, a lot of people didn't know the VA, there's actually 3 divisions. There's the health side, there's the VBA, which kind of does with claims for veterans, and then the one that nobody likes to talk about, death, you know, the cemetery. So, but it's a very important thing to do because, you know, unfortunately when somebody dies, we're sad a lot.
Yeah.
But if we can have our stuff in order, like a lot of people don't know that if you're a veteran, you can be buried at the Vermont Veterans Cemetery for free.
Is that in Randolph?
In Randolph, a beautiful place. And here's what most people don't know. Your spouse can be buried there too alongside of you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the key word, free.
Oh, I love free.
Yeah, I know you, Marcy. You like that free stuff.
Sure do.
So, but basically that's what we talked about in a nutshell. And what I'll do is I'll just cover some things again, just so everybody knows. But like I said before, I don't work for the VA, but the VA is broken down into 3 parts. And what I want to do is break down each individual part. So the first one we'll talk about is the Veterans Health Administration. So people want to know, well, what's that about? So think of it like this. This is going to be your medical side, your doctor, okay? All right, so, you know, first thing I'm going to talk about is the basic eligibility. How do you get enrolled in the VA? Well, you got to be a veteran, and you got to fill out this form. Of course, if with anything, you got to fill out a form, but it's an easy form. It's called the 1010 Easy. It's 3 pieces of paper, and if you don't know how to fill it out, I can help you fill it out. And just real quick, I was talking to Marcy earlier. She says, Dave, you do all this by yourself?
Yeah, right?
I'm like, yeah, no.
That's a lot of work.
I know it's a lot of work, but the good news is there's actually 13 of us in the state of Vermont, so I'm not the only one. Well, Marcy, we were talking earlier about, boy, I do this all myself. I don't. We actually have 13 other Vermont Veteran Outreach. Plus, we have a guy, I call him a dude, but it's a guy that works right at the VA, but doesn't work for the VA, but actually works with us to navigate the VA. If I have a question down at the VA, instead of me having to call, and I always hear veterans say, oh, Dave, all they do is I call down the VA and I'm on waiting. Well, I got a solution to that. I call my guy and he gets up out of his desk and walks down to the office that you're trying to call and says, hey, we're trying to get a hold of you. So normally we can get the answer a lot quicker than what you can.
Oh, so you guys have an inside scoop.
Right, we do. So, but like I said, we're all over the state. Like, in Rutland is Rich Gallo, but I know, Marcy, you know that website. Why don't you tell them?
So to find out all the locations of the outreach specialists for the Vermont Veterans Outreach, visit ngfamily.vt.gov. That's ngfamily.vt.gov at Vermont Veterans Outreach.
Right, and you'll know exactly where all our Vermont Veteran Outreach are in the state of Vermont. So getting back to eligibility, like I said, you'll need a DD-214 and you'll have to fill out a 1010 easy. Very simple process. And if you turn it into us, normally you probably a 2-day turnaround, you'll know if you're eligible for the VA or not. Now some people, every veteran is eligible, but due to the how many people we can actually accept, it is income based unless you have a VA disability already. But for the most part, if you're making under $35,000, I take that back, $50,000 a year, you're probably going to get in. And if you make more than that, you can still get in, but you may be required to pay a copay. But it's not a big deal. I think the RVA, you hear on the news, oh, VAs aren't that great, but I have to say in the state of Vermont, we have one of the best VAs in White River Junction, and they really work hard to take care of all our veterans, which I'm very thankful for.
So Dave, if anyone was having a question whether they're eligible or not, would it be appropriate to contact the Vermont Veterans Outreach?
Oh, for sure, because we deal with this every day, and I can pretty much tell you, if you're going to qualify or not. Some people think if you're in the Vermont Guard, but they haven't deployed, you can't get in the VA. So, but that was a great question, though, because we call that the gray area. And that's something that we're trying to work on now, because the way I feel is if anybody goes to basic training or AIT, they should be eligible to go be enrolled in the VA. So did I answer your question?
You absolutely
Cool.
did.
Okay. So, basic eligibility is what it is. But here's some of the services at the VA that they provide. They have the primary health care, you have specialty care, you have mental health, we have inpatient, outpatient pharmacy, we have geriatric care, we have long-term and care and support, and we have a thing which is relatively new, but I think it's a really good deal. It's called the Community Care Program. So what's the Community Care Program? So let's say you're enrolled in the VA, and I'm going to use myself as an example. I had to get a total knee replacement, but I live up in the northern part of Vermont. If you live more than 50 miles away from White River Junction, then the VA will authorize you to see a civilian doctor, but it's not going to cost you anything. So I actually had my knee replaced up north, and not having to drive down to White River to have my knee replaced. So it was a perfect program, and I didn't pay a penny for it.
So to clarify, in order to use the civilian service provider, the VA does the referral.
That's correct. And it sounds like it's an easy process. It is and it isn't. The first step is number one step is you always go see your primary care provider, PCP, at the VA. And that gets the ball rolling. You go in, tell your primary care provider, hey, I'm having issues with my knee. You know, they'll do the referral to the community care. Community care program calls you and says, hey, where would you like to go? I tell them where I'd like to go. They make sure they're in the network, and boom, you're in and you're going.
Nice.
So another good question there, Marcy. So continuing on with the VA, we have individual and group counseling, just a wide assortment of things at the VA. And this is the first part of the VA. This is one of the three. The second one I want to talk about is the VBA. And I always call this the Fort Knox of the VA, because it seems like you can't even get in to talk to anybody there. Even my guy down at the VA has a hard time. So what is the VBA? It's the Veterans Benefit Administration. These are the people that actually determine if you're going to get a VA claim. Okay? So, but how do you get a VA claim? Well, first of all, I recommend you come see us. And what we'll do is we'll connect you with a VSO. And a VSO is called a Veterans Service Officer. And the good news is the state of Vermont, they have 4 of them now, based out of Montpelier. But these are paid positions, and they basically file your claim for you. You tell them what you want to file for. They'll give you some advice. They're going to ask you to bring your DD-214. They're going to ask you to provide medical documents or an LOD.
What's an LOD, Dave?
Yeah, you know, being in the military for so long, we're used to acronyms, but LOD is line of duty. So basically, if a soldier or airman gets hurt while they're on active duty, we do an LOD or line of duty, and it's put in their medical records. And when they get ready to retire, or if they're a traditional guardsman, they can apply for disability right away. But they'll need that LOD. And basically it proves that they got hurt while they're in the service, and it will make the process go a lot smoother.
So Dave, when you say medical record, are we talking about including the line of duty, otherwise known as LOD, in the military medical record, or is that provided automatically to the VA?
No, so here's the deal. It's the soldier or airman's responsibility. The VA is not connected to the military per se. So if you do get an LOD, you need to bring that to the VA. And what I always tell people, especially when they come back to deployment, they're entitled to use the VA regardless of how much money you make. I always encourage all our veterans, because you are a veteran, to register with the VA. A couple things. Number one, for every veteran that enrolls in the VA, the government gives us more money for our VA. And we're a very small state, so we try to get, and we're servicing over 54,000 veterans in the state of Vermont.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. But we could use more, and there's more out there. And where I'm always looking, I go to Costco, and I'll sit and have a hot dog and soda, and I look for people that have a hat on that says they're a veteran. And I love going up to them and say, hey, thank you for your service, but I got a question for you. Are you registered with the VA? And most of the time they'll say no. And I'm like, why not? And like, well, I don't need it. I got my own insurance. And then I tell them, well, you know, I would appreciate if you did, because if you enroll, even if you don't go, we're still going to get some money for the VA. So I'm always encouraging everybody, if you haven't enrolled in the VA, please do. And if you don't want to fill out the paperwork, you call me. It's not that hard to fill out, and I can help you out.
Well, Dave, let me just do a quick plug here.
Yeah.
To get support from the Vermont Veterans Outreach to help navigate your VA journey, you can call 24/7 at 888-607-8773.
Thank you. That's an important number, and I highly encourage people to write that down somewhere. Getting back to the VBA and the processing for a claim, it doesn't happen overnight, and it's a process. So that's why I say using the VSO, Veteran Service Officer, to help you really helps out a lot. But you know, you meet with them, and then what happens after that, you have to go to what's called a comp and pens. Basically, you have to go see a doctor based on your injury, and then you have to wait, and the VBA makes their decision, and then you'll get a letter in the mail saying, you are, we've determined that you are VA disabled, and there's a monetary compensation, but more importantly, you also get the medical care that you deserve. So I think that's very important too.
It is really important.
Yeah. Other parts about the VBA, they do the VA home loan guarantee. And right now, I was watching the news today, the interest rates are going up.
Yeah, they are.
In fact, a 3.5% loan at, I think they said like $400,000, and then they showed it at, right now it's up to 6.25. It's basically $1,000 more a month in their mortgage. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but with a VA loan, you know, there's no money down. So that's a good program right there. Also, under the VBA, they have what's called Voc Rehab. So in order to qualify for Voc Rehab, you do have to be at least 10% disabled. But the nice thing about the Voc Rehab is they can send you back to college, or even, help me out, Marcy, what is it? Non-traditional school, like a trade school,
Yeah,
like
certification,
like a trucker,
Yeah.
or even getting your pilot's license.
They do massage therapy.
Therapy, yeah, all these things. So that's a very good program, especially to help the veteran out, because maybe what they were doing in the past, because of their injuries, they can't do that line of work. You know, maybe they were an electrician that had to climb the poles, and now they have a bum knee and they can't do that anymore. So the VA helps them, you know, learn a different skill and continue on. So, all right, the last thing we're going to talk about.
Oh.
I know everybody cringes. Cringe. Yeah.
But it's important.
It is important. And the reason why I say it's important is because, you know, nobody likes to talk about death, but you know what they say, death and taxes, right? So, but here's the good news. If you're prepared when it does happen, I tell my clients, hey, listen, take care of this now, because if you die, you don't want your loved one to be stressed out. They're going to be stressed out already. They're not going to be thinking clearly. You know, they're sad. I understand it. I've experienced that myself with my mom and dad. So I have a little binder and I have everything in order so that when the day comes, they can open that binder and say, oh, I got to do A, B, C, D. But with the National Cemetery, one of the nice things is I ask people all the time, hey, when you die, where are you going to go? Well, I don't know. I said, well, did you know about the Vermont, Veterans Cemetery in Randolph? No, I've never heard about it. I said, well, you should check it out. Take a drive down there.
It's beautiful.
Awesome place. And it's very respectful. I've been to many, unfortunately, but I've been to a lot of ceremonies out there, but always professionally done. The grounds are immaculate. But I tell people, hey, you know, if you're not sure what you want to do, this is might want to cement your place, not to be funny about it, but, you know, put your place there in the state of Vermont forever. So.
And you said earlier that the spouse can go there too?
Yes, I am sure. But you know what? You can always call 802.
888-607-8773.
Right. Or you can call right down to the VSO, and their number is 802-828-3379, and they can, because you're going to have to fill out a form to get in, but they can answer all your questions too.
And that's the VSO, and what does that mean?
Yeah, VSO is the Veteran Service Officer.
Okay.
But we also have it down, that number that I just gave you, 802-828-3379. That is the Veterans Affairs Office for the state of Vermont.
No.
So, yeah. And we actually, you know, kudos to them. They do a really good job. They really help out. Just like veterans don't realize, you can get a free license plate with a tag, a flag, or if you're in Iraq or Afghanistan, or if you're a Vietnam vet, they have specialized plates, but you can get them for free. But how it works is you have to send in your DD-214 with a form. There's always a form attached to the Veterans Affairs Office. They verify that you were in service during that time, they stamp it, and then you take that paperwork to the DMV, and you'll get a new plate for free, but it will show that you're a veteran. And I notice when I'm driving around town, like Hannaford's and other grocery stores, they actually support the military. They have, instead of, they have disability parking lot or spaces, but they'll offer 1 or 2 slots for veteran, which I think that's great to recognize veterans all over the state.
Yeah. So when you send in for the license plate, do you need to send the original DD-214 or can it be a photocopy?
No, it can be a copy. And here's a thing that a lot of people don't know too. So if you were in the state of Vermont and joined the service, and it's called your home of record, and all veterans don't know this, a home of record is, they're going to ask you when you leave the military, where are you going to come back home to? So in the state of Vermont, what the military does, all branches, if they know you're coming back to Vermont, they send your DD-214 to the Veterans Affairs Office. So even if you lost your DD-214 and you're from Vermont, don't worry, they have it.
Wonderful.
All right. So, Marcy, I think that basically wraps it up. I do want to, I can't say the word. I'm getting old, but I do want to say that number again, 888-607-8773. That's our number to the Vermont Veterans Outreach. If you got any questions, we can answer them for you.
And it's 24/7. That somebody will pick up that line.
That's right. And actually, if you're really lucky, every couple weeks I'm on there over the weekend, so you get a special treat. You get to meet me.
Hey!
All right, thanks a lot, Marcy.
Thank you so much, Dave, for joining us in the Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots team. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.
And thank you all for listening in to the Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots podcast. I'm Marcy Caulfield, part of the Kitchen Spoons and Combat Boots team. Goodbye for now. Welcome back, everybody, to the What Can Your Veterans Benefits Do For You? And with me is Brian Staudenauer. Hi, Brian.
Hey, Marcy. Stoked to be here.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
So I am the state consultant for Military OneSource. And Military OneSource is a benefit and resource program offering for our military service members and their families.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
What's the eligibility
great.
for this program?
Eligibility for the program is as soon as they sign up to be part of the military, all the way through 365 days post-separation. And if they have any DEERS eligible dependents, which is the Defense Enrollment Eligibility Reporting System, they are also eligible for the programs and services through Military OneSource.
That's fantastic. So their
pretty
whole
cool.
Military career.
Correct. Their entire military career.
All right. So when it comes to veterans benefits, Brian, what are some things that Military OneSource can do to support our veterans?
Yeah. So with it being, while they're serving in 365 days post separation, that's a really great question. For us, we had there are Mil Life guides that they can access that are really great. That'll help them to explain to them some of the benefits and resources they have eligible to them through their into their veteran status and post-military career, which is really great. It talks about the blended retirement system, employment and education, and the separation and retirement as well process.
That's fantastic because, as you know, that separation period could be pretty lengthy, over a couple of years, and that transition for them overall can be really stressful for them and their family members. Really
stressful. So that's another great thing, Marcy, with that stress, and while they're still eligible for the programs, we do have non-medical mental health counseling, which which I actually don't have on this slide. And I'm not certain why I don't have it, but I should have, because that is a really stressful time for the families as they transition out. And what that does is that provides free non-medical mental health counseling to service members and their families for short-term solution-focused issues, right? It doesn't deal with anything that they may have been diagnosed with or taking medication for. But it's a great resource that they can access via telephone, via live video chat, or via text chat. Sometimes we have the opportunity to serve them in person. But as you know, in the United States of America right now, whether you got a uniform on or not, that is really challenging to come by in a timely manner. But Military OneSource is really able to do it telephonically or video chat within a couple of days, which is pretty remarkable.
That is remarkable. A lot of great modalities to offer that, to access that resource.
Yeah.
So during that transition time, Brian, not only do you have the stressors that are there, you know, the connection piece, the employment piece that you talked about. What about the financial piece?
Yeah, we do have a financial counseling program as well for them that they can get free of charge to them also. And that'll help them to, look at their retirement pay so they can budget accordingly, or just really establish a budget for when they retire or as they work closer and closer to that out day, right? So that's another great one. And then we do have transitioning service members program as well. And that program does, veteran specialty consultations for them so that they make sure that they're getting all the benefits that they've earned and are due through the Department of Defense and their military time and service, which is really great. It also can provide them with a customized check sheet for them so that they make sure that they have all their ducks in a row as they exit the military, and their family has all their ducks in a row as they exit the military. We have a career one-stop that can help them transition from the military and to a civilian career, as well as help them to, translate that military service and training that they got into a civilian speak so that civilian employers will understand what they gained through the military a little bit better.
That's fantastic. That's a lot of content rolled into one little area.
It is.
Wow.
Yeah, Military OneSource really does have a lot of resources and benefits for the service members.
Fantastic. Yeah. And for those that may be wounded warrior identified and their caregivers, do you have any input on that?
We do, yeah. We do have a wounded warrior and caregiving program, and this will extend to them through their lifetimes. And this is really there to help the service member, right, the wounded warrior service member, understand the benefits that they have coming to them, and allow that grant them access to this non-medical mental health counseling and to the financial counselors and some of the other all the other programs that we have available. And what I like most about this is it also extends that benefit to the caregivers for that service member, because certain caregivers of service members and caregivers of service members, they also go under a lot of stress, right? They're dealing with this injured service member at home that may be certainly facing challenges, right, with where they are, and this will give them a little bit of ease and a little bit of a place to go where they can get counseling and consolement and support. Yeah, great. Thanks, Marcy.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic, Brian. And before we wrap this session up, can you tell us how we can connect with Military OneSource?
Great. Yeah, you can connect with Military OneSource 24/7, 365, no matter
Really?
Yes, ma'am. No matter where you are in the world, and you're always going to get a live person. Oh. You never get a phone tree, and if you're texting through the, through our website or through our phone app, you're always talking to a live person. You're never talking to a chatbot, which is pretty cool. But you can access it through www.militaryonesource.mil, and it is a .mil website, and then they can also access it through 1-800-342-9647. Again, that's 24/7, 365, no matter where you are in the world.
That's fantastic, Brian. Thank you so much for being with us today. And as a friendly reminder, if you are looking for any of the resources that we discussed in today's podcast and want to know how to connect, please reach out to Family Programs. When in doubt, please reach out at 888-607-8773. Well, now that we've had a conversation with Dave, I just want to welcome our next guest speaker, Susan Demers. Hi, Susan. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Marcy. Thanks for having me.
So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name's Susan Demers. I'm the Transition Assistance Advisor for the state of Vermont. I am also a military spouse.
Really? How many years?
14.
Well, thank you for serving too. So what program do you work with?
So I'm the Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisor. So I work with service members, veterans, and their families by directing and navigating them through their benefits.
Is there like an eligibility process or a timeline of currently serving?
Yes. So the official rule of eligibility is at least 180 days on Title X orders or more. However, I'm here to help all service members, regardless of their eligibility.
Now, when you say help, what does that mean?
So directing them through benefits, like if they have questions, not really sure and if they qualify for anything. So it's my job to know what they qualify for, who the correct point of contact is at different organizations, so I can streamline that process for them and essentially cut through that red tape that can sometimes feel impossible.
That sounds fantastic. So you have connections to these outside resources or individuals that can actually help along the way to make the mission successful?
Correct.
Very cool. So what are some common topics that you see in your position?
So right now, the hot topic is education.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Are we talking about youth education or adult education?
Adult education.
Okay.
A lot of people come to me with questions regarding their GI Bill, not really sure on how to access the amount of time frame that they have available. So I direct them to the va.gov website as well as their education service officer.
Fantastic. And if individuals needed to reach out to either you or find out who the education officer is, I just want to let everyone to know that they can call the Family Programs 888 number. It's 888-607-8773. So Susan, okay, so education, hot topic. Do you think it's about the funding or individuals looking to do like a career shift?
A little bit of both. So we all know that college can be expensive, right?
Oh, yeah.
So people that have access to their GI Bill, they're also eligible for a Yellow Ribbon School program.
Okay, that's wonderful.
The Yellow Ribbon School program is there to help offset the cost that the GI Bill doesn't cover. The post 9/11 GI Bill doesn't cover. Unfortunately, it doesn't cover everything. So certain schools that are involved in it will either cover the difference entirely, or they'll cover up to a certain monetary amount per eligible student.
Well, that's really exciting. Now, in your professional opinion, do you think it's better to stay in state or out of state for the best financial opportunity?
So if you're using your post 9/11 GI Bill, regardless if you stay in state or out of state, that school has to give you the in-state tuition without having to wait a year.
That's fantastic news. Now, listening family members, service members, and veterans, did you hear that? It doesn't matter where you go. You can use that benefit. And to learn if they have that benefit, it would be the education officer?
They can contact the education officer. They can contact myself.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you, Susan. So what other trends are you seeing out in the field?
So state and local benefits, mainly recreational benefits.
Okay.
So there's the Green Mountain Passport, which is super easy to get.
It's a wonderful opportunity for people.
Yep. And for people that like to travel and go visit national parks, there's the America the Beautiful Pass.
Who doesn't like to travel and go on vacation, especially with a loved one?
Right.
That's exciting. And where can people go to find out more information to acquire those?
So the Green Mountain Passport, you can go to your town office and inquire about it. It's a quick one-page form that they have to fill out. I believe it costs $2 unless you have a 60% disability rating, and then it's free.
Wonderful.
And then America the Beautiful, you can find it online, or you can reach out to me and I can send you the direct link.
Fantastic. Thank you, Susan. Okay. Now, I appreciate all those awesome examples so people can definitely relate to them. But if you were to have like a split 30 seconds, what other categories do people tend to use your TAA program for?
Employment.
Probably financial.
Yep.
What happens if they have TRICARE? Can they come and see you?
Absolutely.
All right. What about needing legal assistance?
So I refer them to different legal resources.
Fantastic. So you have those connections to help
Correct.
people. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Susan Demers, our Transition Assistance Advisor, is a walking, talking resource encyclopedia. And again, the 888 number, if you would like to learn how to get in contact with her or additional resources for different topics that may help build and boost your military life, you may call 888-607-8773. Thank you so much, Susan. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Marcy.